All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Thursday, March 30th, 2017 edition of the broadcast. We thank you for being with us here for another edition of the show. We're going to get into some news and stuff like that here for you. I'm just not in the mode really to do a radio show right now because I'm in filmmaking mode, and it really is too. It's two different mindsets. It's bizarre. It's like going from driving, a fast car all day to going and driving a fucking, go-kart or something. Oh, it's just too. That's not even a good analogy. I don't know what a good analogy is, but it's just two different mindsets, because you're using your brain in two completely opposite different ways when I'm doing film work from when I'm doing the radio show. So, but I thought I would get up here and at least give you some kind of a show here tonight and see what we can get into. TheGlobalReality.com, as per usual. TheGlobalReality.com is my website, so go there to find all my documentary films. Hit the download shop, get a copy of my newest film, The Spellcasters. I'm working on the 1.5 version right now. Hopefully we'll have that done the next, hope to have it done sometime this weekend, but you know that stuff goes. But yeah, it's coming together, and boy, I am glad I did decide to do this, though it was the right move, and I really figured out how much it was the right move as I've been working on it, because there's just so much stuff and so much that's happened since Volume 1 came out, and a lot of things that need to be in there, because Volume 2 is going to be a completely different film, and I, honestly, again, this was the right call, because it would have made Volume 2 suffer greatly from the film that it's going to be, had we tacked all this stuff on, because it's really going to be a different film. It's, I'm still going to be showing connections to the same stuff and what we've already established, and all those same connections will be there, but there's going to be a lot more focus on the music side of it and suspicious deaths. I mean, it's just fucking mind-blowing. Lots of stuff that's going to be in Volume 2 that nobody's ever put out before. Lots of unknown stuff. So I'm definitely glad I made the decision to do this 1.5. Now, the 1.5 won't be available on discs or anything like that. It'll only be available on the download shop. So before you start firebombing me with emails about it, no, it won't be available on disc. Just a Volume 1, which, of course, we're still waiting on artwork for. And it's funny. Every time, oftentimes it's funny, I'll do shows, and I'll address a piece of information, and somebody will leave a comment in the video. This happens almost every time I post a video on YouTube and say, hey, what about this? Or what about this piece of info? Or what about that thing? And it's really a total fucking facepalm moment, because you're just like, if you honestly, it drives me nuts, because it shows you that people, I can say stuff on shows and people, it just goes either one ear and right out the other, or they just don't pay attention. You have short attention spans, but it drives me. I have to say, I have to express my feelings here, because this is my platform and I can do that, contrary to what a lot of people out there believe. I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, it drives me batshit crazy, man, because it just shows me you're not listening to the fucking show. It drives me batshit crazy. Hey, what about this? Oh, what about this subject? If you bothered to listen to that show before you fucking left a comment, you would hear that I talked about the exact thing you question you have in the fucking show. The only thing that drives me more batshit crazy than that is when people want to ask me questions about info and stuff that pertains to the Spellcasters, and then I say, well, you obviously haven't watched the movie, because have you? No. Well, that's clear. Well, how did you know I haven't watched the movie? Well, because if you had, you wouldn't be asking me this fucking question, because the answer to that is in the film. But you can't even do me the respect, to get a $10, $12 download or something, but you wanted me to have a dialogue with you, and you want to tell me how I'm wrong, or when you haven't even bothered to watch the movie. That drives me batshit crazy. But yeah, man, lots of butthurt people. I got to tell you, some of you out there, some of you, oh man, some of you out there are little ninnies that need to grow a pair. I'm just going to put it point blank. There are some of you out there that just need to fucking flat grow a pair. So many butthurt people since the last show that I did. You know, again, as I said in that show, if you bother to listen to it, I was asked multiple times by multiple people about an individual. I gave my honest answer to the question. And, had a lot of butthurt people about it. And, it's funny. This is not the first time this has happened to me. But what would you rather me do? That's the question I have for these people. What would you rather me do when I get asked something? Because it seems to me the only alternative you want is you want me to lie about it. That goes back to something I've known for a long time. There are a lot of people out there who have no interest in the truth, that listen to these kind of shows and into this kind of stuff, but they really don't have any interest in the truth. All they want is a comfortable version of the truth and something that fits in with them and still allows them to have the same established paradigms they've had before of hero worship and this. People get these particular hosts and stuff that they get attached to, and I'm sure there are people that do that to me too, but there's that they get attached or whatnot, and anything said about them, they just go crazy. And look, I don't have. People are just taking it out. It's just way, way out of fucking control because I got asked a question about Mark Passio. I'll give an honest answer. I don't have an agenda against the guy, and I don't have any. Quite frankly, couldn't care less what the guy does. But if somebody asks me, it points out these things, says, because I had multiple, not just one person, but I had multiple different people for a long time. People ask me questions about the guy. People pointing out certain things, and again, as the listener pointed out, and from the email from the last show that we talked about, somebody talking about Freemason stuff, and talking about Freemason stuff, but not bringing up Sirius and just flat refusing to even talk about it. I mean, that particular red flag might not be a red flag to somebody else who doesn't know the importance of that. But the importance of that piece of information should be known and should be apparent to anybody that calls himself a researcher. And that's what people were saying to me. Oh, how dare you attack him? He's a great researcher. Well, if he was a great researcher, he would know the importance of Sirius, first off. That's number one. And number two, if he was a great researcher, he would know the things that I and other people know about Alex Jones. He promotes Alex Jones on his website. If he's a great researcher, he would know the things that we know and I know about Scientology and L.Ron Hubbard, and he wouldn't be promoting Battlefield Earth and that kind of stuff. So the bottom line of it is I was asked an honest question. I gave an honest answer. And, some of you out there just need to grow a pair. Whiny, crybaby little ninnies. It's perfectly okay until you say something bad about somebody you like. And then, well. And again, I don't have anything against the guy, but I was asked my honest opinion. I gave an honest opinion. But for a lot of people, they would rather me not give an honest opinion. They would rather me just say, "Oh yeah, he's great, he's fantastic, yeah, definitely." And again, as one of the listener pointed out in one of the comments on the YouTube section as well in the last video, I never said, did I ever say the words not to check out the guy's stuff or no, check it out if you want. That's your call. But when somebody asks me my opinion, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to get up here just because I might piss off some of his followers or something. I had a similar. I'll tell you this. I've never told this story before because how I got on this subject was the last time. I never told this story on air. I'm not going to go into this. I just don't feel like going through and reading. I never brought this up, but it's a good point. Because somebody brought this up on one of the comments too. When did this happen? Let me look at the date on this email. December 6, 2015. Okay. So December 6, 2015, that's when this happened. All right. So I did a show around that time, and see what happens is a lot of these people, a lot of these different figureheads and people in the truth movement, they have little rats out there, and these rats like to go and listen to people's shows like me and just wait. It's part of this pounce generation, that's the problem. And if you're just going to act like every other idiot out there in mainstream society, maybe you need to go look into another subject or be interested in another subject or listen to another show, not mine. Because this pounce generation bullshit, just like the mainstream media does, anytime, and I'm sick of it, and I've never placated to that, and I never will. That's what my show is about. My show's about I say what the fuck I want to say, 100%, no holds barred, no filtered, no fucking sponsors, no radio network, none of that horse shit to hold me back. I can fucking say what I want to say unleashed, and not a goddamn person can fucking stop me from doing it. That's what the whole creation of my platform, when I started my own network in 2009, after being on all these other networks and having bad experiences and having everybody trying to control me and pissed off because I'd pull in, 20 times the listeners that everybody else did. It was just a constant sabotage because, for no other reason other than just, people are just, when I'm just me being me, but that's a problem. Just that alone is a problem to a lot of people. But this pounce. Anytime you say anything about anybody now, they want to pounce. Anyway, I had made a comment on my show that it was, this was right around the time when Red Ice Radio and a lot of this that had been, talking about a lot of different subjects for a long time, pretty much went exclusively white nationalist, white supremacist type stuff. And, look, I don't have to agree with that, but that's their right to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, if they want to do that, my problem with it is when it starts switching over to, because at first it was just about illegal immigration stuff. Then they started switching over, and then you could see it merging with the whole taking over of the entire truth community with Trump stuff. And then they started supporting Trump. But I had started to see this, because I'd seen this coming for a long time. I remember doing a radio show back around 2010, and there was we had been talking about. I'd started finding connections to white nationalist stuff for the first time within the truth community, and started first uncovering that and seeing how much of the so-called truth community had been for a long time white nationalists in disguise and whatnot. And I had found out really quickly that because I was talking about a radio show, and another fellow radio host called in to the show all nervous. So I started getting, hints at that. But anyway, back in, I guess, around the time when this email was written to me in December 9th, I had made a comment that because I had seen a person who I had, for many years really defended and always said great things about, and interviewed him several times and whatnot. But I started, I had already kind of had suspicions about him because I'd seen him connected to people and promoting some of these same people like, Stan Monteith and some of these other Council for National Policy, CMP related people, a lot. So that kind of had me, disturbed for quite a while. But I never talked about it or brought it up. And I made a comment that it was, I thought it was disappointing that a lot of people that I admired and thought, were good researchers and trustworthy sources for a long time were now starting to just jump on this bandwagon of this, illegal immigration crap and pushing it towards and jumping on the white nationalist agenda. That's all I said about this person. I didn't say anything else. I just said I was disappointed, and it was sad to see this person connected to it. And boy, this person went off on me, sent me this email, called me all kinds of names. I mean, just ad hominem attack after ad hominem attack, attacking me personally really for nothing more than just saying it was disappointing this person seemed to be pushing some of these white nationalist ideas. And you comparing me to like Chris White, like I had some like Christian agenda against him, just all kinds of just false accusations after false accusations, accusing me of a witch hunt against him. And literally all I did was say that it was disappointing. And so, obviously that touched a nerve. The person I'm speaking about, again, I've never talked about this. This is almost this is December 6, 2015. I've never talked about this until now. Was Michael Tesari. And, my response after he wrote this diatribe to me was just, I was just sitting there thinking, dude, look how many, go look at how many views and how many whatever he has on his stuff versus my, the guy obviously reaches way more people, is way bigger and more well known than I am, right? So why is he worried about me? That's what I didn't get. I was like, I don't know why you're so concerned about something. I mean, nobody fucking listens to me. You know what I mean? Nobody fucking cares what I say anyway. Why are you so? So that's when I mean, clearly, obviously, because he used to be one of the. I used to always say there was nobody else that I thought you could really trust but him, and of course he showed his cards, and I'll probably get another fucking berating email from him now because I know he's got little rats out there listening. A lot of these people do. A lot of these hosts and stuff, they're so egomaniacal. They have little rats that go and listen to everything I do. So if I say something about anybody, they immediately report back. And I know this goes on because it's so quick when it happens. But let's see. I'll read you some of this. He says, "Hi, Josh. I just heard your diatribe against me. Sorry to hear this, especially so soon after I published my Red Papacy article, which I think you have liked. Anyway, I'm not going to defend myself against your strange accusations. I thought it was our common enemies that condemn free thought and free expression. I see that I was wrong. You are against that also. So I'm against free thought and free expression because I voiced an opinion which I should be able to do on my own show, my own platform, about the fact that he was pushing these same anti-immigration, white nationalist type of ideologies. So that only makes me an enemy against free thought and free expression because I had a problem with that. And all I did was point out on the show. Again, you see what I'm saying? Automatically on the defense. Clearly, I can't love my own race or stand up for it without being, in the eyes of people like yourself, a racist hyena and a paid agent of the establishment. So right there, I mean, if you needed any doubts, I mean, I got about that far in it of reading this email and I went, well, he just verified my accusation as being correct right there on his own. Because he doesn't doubt it. He says right there, clearly I can't love my own race or stand up for it without being, in the eyes of people like yourself, a racist hyena. I never said he was a racist hyena. I never said he was racist. All I simply said was that it was disappointing that in lockstep, just like with the Trump thing. It was like a memo. It was like marching orders. We just systematically saw every single person, Art Bell, I mean, all these people. Jones, who was that guy that I went on with that time on Coast to Coast EM the first time I went on there? He's from Dallas, where I live, and he has the deep fucking voice. John B. Wells, Trump all the way. All these, I mean, it was a lockstep move, dude, almost literally overnight where everybody was falling right in line with it. And I had already seen this coming again from, for the last 10 years doing my work with the Council for National Policy, screaming about it. Nobody listened to me. And here it is right before my eyes happening. So, I mean, this was when I started to really realize that I was more right on than I knew when I saw that, this response and this email from Tesari about it. I mean, he right there, again, he clearly confirms he didn't deny it. And that was what I had a problem with, was that, I thought it was sad to see all these researchers all of a sudden just taking the line of the white supremacist, white nationalist thing. And again, right there in his own words, clearly I can't love my own race or stand up for it without being, in the eyes of people like yourself, a racist hyena or a paid agent of the establishment. I wish you could hear yourself. Well, I did hear myself because I listened back to the show. But you see that pounce response like that? And then he says, He says, I wish you could hear yourself, but my intuition tells me that you are becoming mentally disturbed. So I'll keep this brief. Wow. Okay. So we're on first paragraph here. Again, to make it clear what I said, I thought it was, it was sad to see researchers like him and other people going lockstep into this white nationalist stuff, almost like it was on cue. And for that, we ain't even got started. For that, this is what I got lambasted with. I'm an enemy that condemns free thought and free expression, and I'm also becoming mentally disturbed, all because I had a problem with that. I mean, folks, this goes to show you, it's much more deeper than anybody could possibly imagine. I suspect there is something deeply amiss in your personal life. But since that's not my business, I won't comment on it. Really, something's deeply amiss in my personal life. Yeah, something's deeply amiss in my personal life. Well, I don't have a personal life. My personal life is doing this work. Yeah, you're right. Goddamn right. There is something deeply amiss in it. There's something deeply amiss with all this stuff. There's something deeply amiss about the fact that somebody like me should have to completely, as I have, turn their entire life over to this, because not very many other people want to do it, because pretty much everybody else, even though they make the appearance and claim that they aren't, is actually working for the enemy and right on board with the enemy's agenda. And again, folks, this is why so many, I still get people every day, I can't believe you've been around for 10 years and I've just now heard about you. There's a reason. Moreover, the trail of lost friends and colleagues is much longer for me than it is for you or anyone who has recently made a name for themselves in this alternative field. So the woes of people like yourself don't cause me much grief after what I myself have endured to get where I am, like I haven't endured anything either. Right. He's the only one that suffered through any of this. Right. And by the same token, when newbies finally denigrate me and my work, I'm a newbie. 25 years, almost 30 years of research, 10 years on air, but I'm a newbie. Okay. And by the same token, when newbies finally denigrate me and my work without good reason, that does not affect me either. My work carries on regardless. I must say I highly appreciated our understanding in the past, our understanding. I can't tell you how much I've promoted and lauded your work, but the past is now the past. I'm sad that good but intellectually lost people will now have to listen to your unkind and unjustified accusations. Now, wait a minute. That's some Orwellian doublespeak right there, Mr. Tazarian, if I've ever heard it. Because, again, back at the beginning paragraph here, because you said that I've unkind and unjustified accusations. So my accusation was unjustified. There was not an accusation laid down in that show. It was an opinion based on the fact that everybody seemed to be going lockstep in with the white nationalist thing, like it was a script on cue. And guess what? I was right. Turns out I was right, wasn't I? And but yet, in his doublespeak mind, that's an unkind, unjustified accusation. And now people will have to listen to your unkind, unjustified accusations and find themselves even more polarized, misguided, and confused. Now, you know what? Actually, no. That's so insulting to my listeners and the people who support my work and contribute to my work, because those people are some of the most intelligent people I've ever come across. The people that really get and understand this stuff and see through phonies and are able to see the wider scope picture and understand that 99.5% of all the so-called truth tellers have been, in fact, agents and emissaries for the very evil causes they claim to be against. You know, for you to sit there and say that my audience is going to be more confused and misguided, no, that's not the truth. But that is exactly what somebody would say who was pissed off about the fact that there are now people out there like me and many others who have the eyes to see, which means the eyes to see not only the one level matrix control grid of mainstream society that we pulled ourselves away from when we found this alternative land. No, this is the eyes to see that there's another level waiting for you when you get there, and another set of gatekeepers that you have to go through. But they're even more dangerous than the mainstream ones because they, for all intents and purposes, appear to be truth tellers. It's not until you start to really do your own research and become not a follower but a free thinker on your own. That's what we've always encouraged on this show since day one, is free thinkers from the very beginning. And because of that, that's why I've always been seen as an enemy. This is why I don't get invited to conferences, things, because, again, this stuff is not about giving you the truth, folks. This is about another level where they appear to tell you the truth so that you don't dig any further, and then the consensus reality matrix control grid gets to go on unabated indefinitely. Like most ignoramuses, you've put the emphasis on ad hominem attacks, thereby jeopardizing and demeaning the hard work of decades that enlightens and opens the eyes of the world. No, boy, that whole sentence was Orwellian doublespeak. So he called me an ignoramus for his, in his words, putting the emphasis on ad hominem attacks. I mean, okay, first you call me an ignoramus, an idiot. Okay, first you call me stupid. And then say I'm the one putting the emphasis on ad hominem attack when all I did was voice an opinion about the fact that it was disappointing to see people like Dasarian and others start to push these white nationalist ideologies. Not just the fact that they were starting to push the white nationalist ideologies, but the fact that had been there for many years. Secretly, they were bringing it up through shows like Rents and others, and the whole Turner Diaries thing, and having a problem with that, voicing an opinion about that. So that is, in his words, and in his mind, is what an ad hominem attack is me voicing an opinion, saying, I don't like the fact these guys are seemingly on cue, that's my big problem with it, are starting to push and support these ideologies. That's ad hominem to him. But calling me an ignoramus is not ad hominem attack. I mean, the doublespeak in his email is mind-blowing. And I'm sorry, I held this back. I tried to play nice. I wasn't going to let this out of the bag. But in light of other stuff that's come out lately, I felt it was time to bring this up. I've sat on this for a while, never brought it up, but I had to bring it up in light of this new stuff, with Passio and that whole thing. And of course, Passio and I think aren't Passio and Dasarian big buddies too? So there you go. What else does he say here? In doing so, I see that you are not, as I once thought, a servant of truth, except in your own mind, of course, for what that's worth. I will add your name to the list of casualties or of paranoia, prejudice, hypocrisy, and self-aggrandizement that have come and gone in this movement. So that's hilarious. Diatribe. Again, this is what I'm talking about, folks. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we're up against. I mean, it sucks, man. It really does suck. But I'm sick of this stuff where, it's like I'm allowed to say something about this certain group of people all day long, but then I say something about this person over here, and because your hero worship is attached to that person, all of a sudden I'm the bad guy and you want to shoot the messenger. Now, if somebody, all I've ever done is give you my honest opinion. I'm not trying to say you should take that as the gospel. I'm just telling you that my opinion about this stuff, based on my years of research and looking at it, and not only that, but years of being outside of the controlled so-called truth movement, the lies movement, is what gives me a perspective on this that nobody else has. So, there you go. For what it's worth, that's. But I just thought it was hilarious that here he is accusing me of ad hominem attacks, which is in his email is nothing but. First, he calls me. What did he call me? What was the first thing he called me? Oh, he called me mentally disturbed, and then and what else did he call me? Oh, an ignoramus. I never said he was mentally disturbed or an idiot or a cocksucker or anything else in that show that he had a problem with. All I said was I had a problem with him and other people going lockstep into these white nationalist ideologies. And again, as you heard, he says right there in his own words, clearly I can't love my own race or stand up for it without being in the eyes of people like yourself, a racist hyena and a paid agent of the establishment. Of course, which I never said either one of those things. But so I mean, he did that. It's just a whole big email full of contradictions there, and it became clear to me after reading this email. I said, "Well, there you go," and close the books on Tsarian, because anything I might have suspected about him, especially when he was, I let it go for years. I never asked him about it. I had him on my show. Could have asked him about it. He promoted, I don't know how many of those CMP related guys like, I said his name a minute ago, Stan Monteith. And I just, I don't know. I just thought that was odd because he had posted, Tsarian had posted my Secret Right films on his website and stuff, before, and I clearly named Stan Monteith as a Council for National Policy member in there. So I mean, Tsarian was clearly was aware of my work into the Council for National Policy, but yet even for years and years after the film came out and after he allegedly said he'd watched it, clearly he didn't watch it because he never brought up anything about CMP to me or Monteith, but there he is promoting Monteith and saying, what a great mentor he was to him all these years. Monteith was absolutely a CIA asset. You could look into his connection to Radio Liberty and what Radio Liberty was and what it became, Freemason and the rest of it. So again, I let that go. And I heard him promote a bunch of other people, Hilder and, a bunch of these other people that have been connected to a lot of this stuff. So, and I let that go for years. Again, I just made a comment saying it was just sad to see all these people lockstep going. I mean, again, if you want to have that ideology, I don't have a problem. I mean, it's just as much anybody's right to go and be proud of whatever their race is as anybody else's. I mean, everybody should be able to be proud of their race. But when, again, at that time, and boy, that was the end of 2015, right? So that was a long time before. I don't even think that Trump was even running for the presidency. Maybe yet at that time, was he? But that's I'm kind of glad I didn't read this until now because it's kind of a nice little time capsule for me to remember of what was going on. So clearly at that time, a lot of so-called figureheads within the truth movement were already maneuvering towards this sort of white power, white supremacy, white nationalist stance that would then transform with all of the support shifting around to Trump. Man, I wish I wasn't right about this stuff. I do. Every time something else happens that proves I'm right. I mean, it sucks. Back when you guys remember back when the Grammys happened, we talked about that. I talked about the stuff at the Grammys. I talked about all the crazy shit people were wearing. One of the ladies here, you might remember, she looked black to me. I don't really know what nationality she was, or I don't know. She looked black to me. Her name was Joy Villa. Does anybody know if she's white? She looked black to me, but anyway, she was on the red carpet, which I saw that shit. I was like, man, she's making them fucking liberal Hollywood. I mean, they got to be boiling their blood. Of course, they were freaking out. But here she is. It's like, a black woman. She's wearing a "Make America Great Again" Trump dress. And, it's now come out, yet another connection. Joy Villa, pro-Trump Grammys troll, is a hardcore Scientologist who backed Bernie. So isn't that funny? There's yet again, there's the Scientologist coming out in force in a big way, especially at the Grammys like that, with a black woman. They sent a black woman in a Trump dress out on the red carpet at the Grammys. I mean, all this stuff about Scientology's on the decline and all the bullshit, man. No, this is a restructuring. That's exactly what's going on. You know what? If they're in decline, let me tell you this. The decline must be good because it's just making their fucking nuts get bigger. And well, why not? People are so stupid and people aren't paying attention to stuff like my work out there like they should be. I mean, my God, the fucking spellcasters. I mean, we should at least reach 10,000 people with this movie. We haven't, I mean, my God, if you imagine what a boon it would be if I sold 10,000 copies of a movie. And we sold a few hundred. I mean, we could reach hundreds of thousands or 1 million people. I mean, this is the kind of mass exposure that you could only get, with having tons of money and press releases and stuff to push behind a movie. And unfortunately, for making movies on a small budget like this, we just don't have money to buy advertising. It costs a lot of money to do that. But this is why they're just being brazen about this stuff now. So Joy Villa, so the woman who wore that's unbelievable. The Make America Great dress on the red carpet of the Grammys is a high-level Scientologist. Well, I mean, it just doesn't end. What else do we got here? Let's see. All right. Anyway, just to wrap up on what I was talking about, what we started the show with here tonight. I mean, heaven forbid I give an opinion about something. Somebody asked me opinion what I think about so-and-so. I'm not going to ever get up here, and just because I don't want to make somebody butthurt, I'm not going to get up here and say, oh, yeah, they're great. Yeah, oh, yeah, they're great. But that's what some people think that they expect me to do. They would rather me get up here and lie than be honest. So that just proves what I've said for the longest time is that not everybody really wants the truth. And, that's why from ever since I found out about the Council for National Policy, I got up here and have time and time again separated myself from the so-called truth movement. I'm not connected with that whole thing. I separated myself from that shit long ago. I'm just an independent researcher and filmmaker and talk show host. It's sometimes explorer when we do the law secret stuff, but I'm just somebody who had researched this stuff for so many years. 9/11 happened. It affected me personally. It affected my life. Made my job in the IT industry get shipped to India. And, I just remember sitting there and I was on the day of 9/11 telling my friends, God damn, this is it, man. This is what I've been researching all this time. This is the JFK of our generation. And people laughing at me. And I just knew inherently it was just, I had no information, no proof to back up. Not at that time, not the day of 9/11, that's what it was, but I just knew it. And it lit this fire in me. It just, at that moment, I knew, even though it took me some years after that to figure out, what I could even do, what it was possible for me to even attempt to do. But that was the moment, when I said, I've got to do something. I've got to do something to try to wake people up, man, because I was starting to see that, even smart, intelligent, college educated people who don't get, one taken, get one pulled over on them, so to speak. people who aren't dummies, people who in most cases know how to sniff out bullshit are being taken by the lies of consensus reality, and I've got to do something about it. And from a very young age, I don't know what it is. I know everybody and a lot of people have this feeling, but I'm just saying, in me, it's different than everybody else. I've always known since I can remember in the third grade. I don't know, man. I remember in the third grade walking home from school. I can remember like it was yesterday. And I don't know, even from a young age, I was like, I'm not from this fucking planet. I'm not from here. I know that's stupid and silly, but man, from a very young age, I had this inherent thing in me where I knew two things for certain, like they were just put in me, that like I wasn't originally from this planet. Maybe we all aren't. Maybe that's why I felt that, but and that there was something big, some kind of mission that I was put here to do. And that, I didn't always have that thought or opinion in my life. I really didn't. I had it when I was in the third grade, but you grow up and life moves on, and you know. But even when I was working, all those dead end jobs for all those years, working in fucking restaurants and working in retail and working in doing telemarketing. I mean, I've done every fucking job you can imagine, man. Everything. Working in IT, construction, working at fucking wherever. Just every kind of fucking job. And always knowing and getting, not only just knowing it, everybody fucking hates their job for the most part. But that's not what I'm talking about. But also being constantly through all those time periods of my life reminded and shown and having little things happen in my life constantly that proved this was not what I was supposed to be doing. And it wasn't until, because I was a musician for a lot of years, played in bands and stuff too. Started playing in bands when I was like 16. But it just seemed everything, all of those things just never clicked. Nothing ever really worked for me, no matter how hard I worked and how hard I tried. And as soon as I started, not intentionally, I had no intention of any kind of altruistic, other than just, like I said before, there are smart fucking people out there, man, who are getting the fucking wool pulled over their eyes. And that was my first indicator, really, really people who should have been able to see through stuff like 9/11 or whatever else it might be, getting taken by it. That was my personal wake-up call when I realized, oh shit, I've got to do something. Because if intelligent people are getting taken by this, less intelligent people, which sadly makes up a large percentage of the population, don't stand a chance in hell. If intelligent people are getting the wool pulled over their eyes, what chance does everybody else have? That was like the first, holy fuck thing for me. So before I didn't know what to do. And I was responsible for helping create the first ever 9/11 truth group in Dallas. And so for many years before I started my radio show and making films and stuff, I had, I was out there in the streets, and I was calling congressmen and senators' offices, and I was out. We passed out something like 350,000 9/11 Truth DVDs in Dealey Plaza in like a year. I mean, it's unbelievable, massive stuff, But then I started noticing that other people who were in the group, they were like, they weren't in it for any kind of reasons to inform anybody. It was just another thing to make money for them. And that was when I showed my first film, 9/11 New World Rising, back in September of 2007. And shortly thereafter, about a couple of weeks, guest hosted for somebody on a show, and then got my own show shortly after that. Had Peter Dole Scott on. He told me about the Council for National Policy, and boom, 10 years have gone by now, almost, since that happened. But I never had any altruistic desire to inform people, I didn't set out, I just want to help people. And I want to, it wasn't that. It was just strictly, again, what I said about, if intelligent, smart people are getting the wool over their eyes, pulled over their eyes, and God damn it, other people don't stand a chance in this. But what I didn't realize, and what started to become very apparent after doing this activism work, and like I said, it really started with the 9/11 truth thing for me, as far as, active activism and really getting out there and organizing protests and doing all that stuff. But I started to realize it just wasn't reaching enough people, I needed to come up with something bigger where we could reach more and more people. I just didn't know how to go about doing that. And so I started to notice rather quickly that, unlike everything else I'd ever done in my life, which had, primarily had always been really just for nothing else more than just survival, or the same thing every reason everybody else does, you fucking go to school, go to college, get job, marry, go to work, have children, come home, die, rinse, repeat. That's all we're promised. That's life. I never bought into that. It works for somebody. If it works for you and that works for you, fucking fantastic. Great. But that's not the blueprint for how every life has to be lived. And I just started to notice that as soon as I was doing something for the first time in my life that wasn't for me, it wasn't for my benefit at all, and it was strictly for the fact that all people all over this planet, doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are, what country you fucking live in, it doesn't matter. Every single one of us has had the truth restricted from us. We've had the wool pulled over our eyes. And I can't tell you how it transformed my life. I'll just never be able to put it into words. Synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity, and it still happens, And that's when I realized for the first time very quickly, especially after, here I am. I went from like being a hardcore gung-ho, 9/11 truther and Alex Jones supporter and all this stuff, and being out there in the streets, to boom, all of a sudden I'm thrown in. I've got a 4-day-a-week radio show, and all of a sudden I've got Peter Del Scott on, and he's telling me about the Council for National Policy, and all of a sudden I'm finding all these people that I admired and thought were great truth tellers, people that I had hero worship for and thought were great. All of a sudden I find out they're connected to this super secretive group that just happens to have, Rothschilds as members and all these other bloodline people and the rest of this, CIA connections, and oh my God. It really did. It was paradigm changing. It was paradigm changing. But again, that was a huge indicator that I was on the path. I was on the right path, and the universe has done nothing but constantly reaffirm that for me for the first time in my life. I've achieved things, even though, I have virtually nothing to show for it. We barely scrape by every month. We've got operating costs to cover, folks, and we've got a long way to go in a short time to get there, and we need everybody to contribute. But, I believe we'll make it. And I've never given up, even though there's been many times I fucking should have. But there's only one reason, besides those of you out there who keep me here and do support our work and keep this going. Man, I would have quit a long time ago if there wasn't that constant reaffirmation for the first time in my life. And I turned 40 last year. And the last 10 years of my life has just been a constant reaffirmation that this is what I was put here to do. And if that means, I've believe me, I've had a lot of fucking people, a lot of people that I had hero worship for, and you have to accept that fact that you just there's no, you just can't have heroes anymore. You can have heroes, or you can have the truth, but you can't have both. And everybody wants to have their cake and eat it too, just like women do. Sorry, ladies, but it's the truth. Y'all are bad about that. Every woman wants to have their fucking cake and eat it too, and it's just not possible. So you got to separate yourself from the ideology of hero worship and apply that energy more towards admiration for people like me and others who have given up a regular life and a normal life and a paycheck at the end of the week and security. I mean, I've thrown security and caution and everything else to the wind just to do this. To the point where I just constantly live in a state. It's, eventually I know it's going to catch up to me as far as my nerves and everything. I know it's taken years off my life. I know it has. But, at some point, you're going to make the decision whether you want to sit on the sidelines and be a chump like everybody else, or you want to get active and do something to make a difference. And I understand not everybody can do that, and that's what I try to be the vehicle for. That's what supporting my work and contributing to my cause does. It allows you, because that's the thing that drives us, man. And the lack of funds to do what we need to do is what restricts us. That's it. That's the only thing holding us back. But that's how and I've told this before, because I still get emails about it every week, even though I say, because I always say support our work and support what we do. Even though I'm a one-man operation and I do everything myself. People go, well, you say we all the time, but you say your one-man operation doesn't make sense. No. And I say this time and again, and I've said this from the very beginning, the people that support my work, when you contribute and you work and you help this work be possible, you're one of the we. It's not just me anymore. It's us. Because I can't do it without the people out there that put their hard-earned dollars up to keep us going every month and to help give these films. I can't. Because, everything in my life is about this, and I'm no good to a woman, or, I'm not going to make a very good husband to anybody or a good dad to anybody, because I'm dedicated my life to this, man. And I don't want anything for it. I don't want accolades. I don't want money. I don't want a big fucking multi-million-dollar house in a gated community like Alex Jones and a fucking glass-bottom boat and to hang out with Hollywood stars. All I want is enough fucking money to kick these people in the fucking asses and let them know we were here. And again, that's where you got to put your support and that energy that you've been applying to hero worship. Apply it to supporting people like me who aren't doing it for any other reason other than, again, if intelligent people are getting the wool pulled over their eyes, what do you think's happening to everybody else? And I didn't get into this to make friends and buddies or make people like me. Clearly, with the work I've done and the things that I talk about and the people I've exposed, clearly I'm not worried about people liking me. But don't for a minute try to make out or make people have a false perception that somehow I just have some random non-issue axe to grind, with any and all truth tellers, because it's not a fact. What is a fact is that, again, somebody asked me an honest question about somebody, I can't lie. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And all of this stuff, you're supposed to take all this information and then expand on it, There's much more to all of this than I'll ever be able to cover or make films about. But I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep doing this. But I can't do it without people out there putting dollars into it and keeping us going every month. And I'm extremely grateful for those people that do and have and continue to do so. And we've got we're almost getting to the red alert situation now. We need to reach 100% of our operating cost goal no later than noon on Saturday. So, just sometime Saturday, yeah, noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. If you go in there at noon or 1 o'clock on Saturday and you see it hasn't reached its goal, but the thing is expired, you can use the donate button there at my website, theglobalreality.com, and use your credit card or debit card to make a contribution. But just help us reach 100% of our goal. We have a prize we'll be giving away too for that, for the highest contributor. It's a tough road, man. It really is. It's tough making people understand that there's layers upon layers of this, and there are many traps that have been laid to catch unsuspecting, honest people who just want the truth and are searching for it. And it's again, it's not, doesn't mean you're stupid, man, just because you bought into one of these. I want to make that clear. Just because you bought into, I have people all the time send me messages and leave comments or whatever else saying, thank you. You woke me up to this person. I bought into it. Man, I have so much respect for that. When somebody admits, hey, I've had people do that. I got an email from somebody a few months ago that said, I used to listen to you for years and years. I started listening to you in like 2009. I stopped listening to you around 2011 or 2012 or something because you said something that I didn't agree with. But it turns out now that, all that time that's gone since then, it turns out you were 100% right. And I was an idiot for ever doubting you. And I'm sorry. And I apologize. And, he donated $100. I have such respect for that. I mean, that's because that's somebody who did their own thinking. Yeah, you might have gotten taken by these hucksters for a minute, but you corrected course and you came back. I mean, that to me, that's just another one of those things, man. But the constant reaffirmation, this is what I was put here to do. Whatever my mission is, whatever it is, it's this. It's to try and get as much of the truth out as we can get, and as much exposing of the people who are standing in the way of that as we can do. I mean, again, it does suck, but I'm not going to sit up here and bitch about it, every day. Yeah, it does suck to be the guy, or at least have the perception to some people's mind that I'm just that guy, that he just hates everybody or whatever. No, it's not even about that. And again, I never said anything. I didn't call Mark Passio a motherfucker or call him a fucking cocksucker or anything either. Somebody, I got asked an honest question. And the whole thing with, how dare you? That was what somebody said. How dare you insult a great researcher like him? Hey, I'm a great fucking researcher too. I've been called one of the best of all time, but I get fucking shit talked on all the time and nobody defends me. You know what I'm saying? But yet I'm not supposed to say anything bad about him because he's a great researcher. Yet again, any great researcher, anybody that considers themselves a great researcher would be able to find all the things that I've found about Alex Jones and Scientology and L.Ron Hubbard and the rest of this. Any great researcher should be able to find the serious connection to Freemasonry, especially how it relates to the degrees, what I talked about in the last show, the degrees that are unobtainable on Earth that, you send to in the realm on Sirius. Hell, I live in the fucking Lone Star State. What do you think? What do you think they call it, the Lone Star State? You know what the Lone Star is, don't you? The Lone Star is fucking Sirius. Go to the state capitol sometime in Austin and get a zoom lens and zoom up the very top of the Capitol fucking dome like I have. You'll see the fucking Columbia statue up there holding the pentagram and holding the blazing star of Sirius. I mean, that's what it's all about. Texas was founded by Masons, as I expose in Cigarette Volume 2. Alex Jones is relative, Anson Jones, founded the first Masonic Lodge in Texas. Guess where the first Masonic Lodge in Texas was located at? Dealey Plaza. Before, of course, it was Dealey Plaza, but that's where it was, right there on that land. But for those of you out there that do want the truth, for those of you out there that that do want to be a part of trying to make some kind of a difference in all this and support my work and contribute and donate, thank you very much to everybody. We need more of you. That's the thing here, folks. Because there are way too many people out there buying into the lies, and we've got way too many people we need to reach and way too much work to do, but we can't do without the financial support from you to do it. That's it. TheGlobalReality.com is our website. We'll see you next time, folks. Take care.